I am back with the 5th episode of Ranking the Albums. This week I will be covering an LA-based rock band called Great White. Formed in 1977, but they weren't really established until like 1981-ish, 82, when they released their independent first release, Out of the Night and On Your Knees. But I'm not going to even talk about their EPs and all that other indie releases and all that shit. I'm only here covering the studio albums. Great White had released 13 studio albums in their 46-year career. And I'm going to waste no time and get right into it. So, here we go. We start at number 13 with Great White's most recent studio album entitled Full Circle. Produced by Michael Wagner, whose collaborations with the band dates back to their EP Out of the Night in 83 and their self-titled debut record in 84. It was released on Blues Tone Records. There was a song called Big Time as the first single and video. And it would be their last studio album with Terry Lewis on lead vocals. I don't even know how you pronounce his last name anyway. Before he was replaced by Mitch Malloy in 2018. I did not care too much for this record at all. Even though Great White has hit rock bottom, they were not the same band without their lead singer Jack Russell, who had eventually got kicked out of the band and formed his own version of Great White in retaliation. To be honest, they should have never let Jack Russell go. Next, coming in at number 12 is Great White's 12th studio album, Elation. Released on May 18th, 2012, recorded in Vivid Tone Studios in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Home of the Young Bucks, by the way. And it was produced by Michael Lardy and Mark Kendall. This was the first Great White studio album to feature Terry Lewis. Additionally, it was the first one without original singer Jack Russell. Since its release, the album has been met with mixed to positive responses. I did not see any mixed or positive responses on this record, although they had some good songs like I've Got Something For You, Feeling So Much Better, Heart of a Man, Hard to Say Goodbye, Resolution, and Shotgun Willies. Other than that, the album still sucked. It deserves to be at number 12. Next, coming in at number 11 is Great White's 11th studio album, Rising. Released in Europe on March 13, 2009, and in the USA on April 21st of that same year. To be honest with you, this would be the last record to feature singer Jack Russell before the split that led to the creation of his own fronted version of Great White. Not exactly the best album, to be honest with you. I was not into Great White at this time. They were not the same band that they were 20 years prior. Next, coming in at number 10 is Great White's 8th studio album, Let It Rock. This was recorded after their split with longtime manager and co-writer Alan Niven. After the acoustic sound of 1994 Sail Away, which is their previous record before this one, the band was determined to return to their hard rock roots. With songs like My World, which Don Dokken received co-writing credits on this, Little Mama, Where's the Love, Hand on the Trigger, Easy, and a bunch of others. This turned out to be a better Great White record than Sail Away. I had listened to some of these songs most recently on YouTube, and they freaking rock. It was released on May 21st, 1996, in the studios of 710 and Total Access Recording in Redondo Beach, California. Released on the label Imago Records. Next, coming in at number 9 is Great White's 10th studio album entitled Back to the Rhythm. It was the first Great White record of original material in about 8 years since Can't Get There From Here. Mark Kendall and Jack Russell wrote 15 songs for this comeback recording. Recording in 24 days in Belmont, California in March of 2007. Released on July 17th, 2007. Released on Shrapnel Records in U.S. and Frontiers Worldwide. Produced by rhythm guitarist and keyboardist Michael Lardy. It features songwriting contributions from Jack Blades of Damn Yankees and Night Ranger, as well as bassist Sean McNabb, who had contributed to the previous album Can't Get There From There and Back to the Rhythm. I didn't get any of the songs on the album at all, to be honest. So, as far as I'm concerned, It's a downer. Next, at number 8 is Great White's 7th studio album, Sail Away. It was a much more mellower effect, dominated by acoustic guitars and laid-back performances. Clarence Clemens of the E Street Band played the saxophone on Gone with the Wind. This is the band's first and only recording with bassist Teddy Cook, as well as the first and only release for Zoo Entertainment. The original issue came with a bonus CD of Anaheim Live, even though I'm not talking about this. The album had poor sales, and it did terrible. They had some good songs, but the album was just fucking terrible. I think this led to the falling out that they had with their longtime manager, Alan Niven. At number 7 is Great White's 9th studio album, Can't Get There From Here. Wow. This was a much better record than the two previous ones. Jack Blades of Damn Yankees and Night Ranger was the producer on this record, and he also did backing vocals. Don Dokken produced the song Psychedelic Hurricane, and both Jack and Don contributed songs on the album. There was a bonus track on the Japanese version of the album, The Good Die Young, where Don Dokken and Jeff Pilson had written for the Japanese version of Can't Get There From Here. This would be Great White's last run on the U.S. Billboard 200, peaking at 192, and the song Rolling Stone peaked at number 8 on the U.S. mainstream rock charts. I like the songs Rolling Stone, Ain't No Shame, and Psychedelic Hurricane. This was a much better album than Sail Away and Let It Rock. Next, at number 6 is Great White's self-titled debut record, released in 1984. Some of the songs that were on the EP Out of the Night was re-recorded for the self-titled record. Recording in the studios of Total Access Recording in Redondo Beach, California, under EMI America, produced by Michael Wagner. Michael Wagner had produced many heavy metal albums in the 80s and early 90s, I believe. I like the songs Out of the Night, Stick It, and Street Killer. Didn't care for the rest of the songs in the album. Next, we are now down to the top 5 as I look at number 5, Great White's second record, Shot in the Dark. Originally released by Telegraph Records and distributed by Green World Entertainment, later that same year it was picked up and reissued by Capitol Records. The original issue featured a different intro to She Shakes Me, which was titled Shake Me, and a different recording of the entirely different song called Runaway, and a different mix of several tracks. Great White's music on this album shows the transition from pure heavy metal of the first album to a more blues-influenced style of heavy metal, paying homage to great rock bands of the 70s like Led Zeppelin and AC/DC. This was the first album to feature drummer Audie Desborough. The album features one of the band's first well-known hits, a cover of the Australian band The Angels song Face the Day, as well as the cover of the Spencer Davis Group song Gimme Some Lovin'. It was remastered on a Razor and Tie label by Steve Hoffman. It was a great album, to be honest with you. Face the Day really sold it on me. Next, coming in at number 4 is the 6th studio album from Great White called Psycho City. Released on September 14th, 1992. This would be their last studio record for Capitol Records, with the exception of 1993's Best of Great White compilation, 1986 to 1992. I enjoyed listening to the songs like the title track, Old Rose Motel, Big Goodbye, and Love's a Lie. There were some reissued bonus tracks such as Somebody to Love, which is a Jefferson Airplane cover, Who's Driving Your Plane, which is a Rolling Stones cover, Living on Rock and Roll, and Wasted Rock Ranger. Wasted Rock Ranger would be on their greatest hits album. I'm not sure what that was released, so the album did 107 on the Billboard album charts, with Big Goodbye and Old Rose Motel being in the top 25 in the U.S. mainstream rock. Next, coming in at number 3 is Great White's 5th studio album, Hooked. You know, the original album cover art was photographed by a famous fashion photographer by the name of John Scarpati, and it features a nude female, Christine Rose, being hoisted out to sea by a large hook. The cover was judged too risque by the label and replaced it by art director Hugh Syme shortly after the initial pressing, with an alternate cover that has the hooks below sea level and the model partially submerged. Only your head and arms are visible. As far as how it did on the charts, it reached number 18 on the Billboard 200 and went gold, released on February 18th, 1991. I enjoyed listening to the singles Call It Rock and Roll, Desert Moon, Congo Square, and the Small Faces cover, Afterglow. Next. Coming in at number 2 is Great White's third studio album, Once Bitten. Released on June 17, 1987, it became a commercial success, selling more than 1 million copies and being certified platinum in April of 1988. The anthem Rock Me became a hit single, charting in September of 87, reaching at number 9 on the mainstream rock charts. It's one of Great White's best-known songs. Save Your Love was also charted and became one of the most famous power ballads at that time, in February of 1988. Also, good songs on there like Lady Red Light and All Over Now will become huge fan favorites. This was probably the second best record behind the next one I'm going to do. And now, the number 1 Great White album is Twice Shy, their 4th studio album, released on April 12th, 1989, containing the biggest hits of their career, a cover of Ian Hunter's Once Bitten, Twice Shy, which reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, The Angel Song, which reached number 30 on the Billboard Hot 100 as well. Another single, House of Broken Love, was inspired by the painful relationship breakups that singer Jack Russell and guitarist Mark Kendall had recently gone through. After reaching double platinum status, it reached number 9 on the Billboard 200. The Angel Song, House of Broken Love, and Once Bitten, Twice Shy, great songs, as long as another hidden gem called Miss the Bone. I'd like to know how you rank the Great White studio albums yourselves. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like my video, go ahead and like it. And that's all I got for you this week. Until next week, adios.